every American, or most of Americans, I'm not a native. So I was actually born in the Middle East, in Lebanon, in Beirut specifically, in 1967. So I grew up in an era of war. Now reflecting back at it, I have, we were, not that we were privileged, but we were so well sheltered by my family and parents that the physical impact of the war, we did not feel it. I remember growing up, being on the streets, playing with my friends, playing football or soccer. And then there would be airplanes, on top of us. And all we did, we stopped the game and we would look up. Oh, okay. And then once things got really, really hot, okay, let's go back home. In 1986, I was 15 years old. I decided that the best thing for us is to leave. And France was chosen specifically because of our background. When my parents were choosing to take us to France, I had a couple of cousins and uncles who were in Montpellier, finished doing their medical school training. So they really decided that it's best for us to kind of leave. So it's a baccalaureate, and I finished that in 1985. I applied to a bunch of universities in the United States. And the reason why I applied, and maybe 2 to 3, but the main reason, I wanted to be a rebel. So I wanted to actually not copy the rest of the family. I was interested in science and engineering, and I was fascinated by medical imaging early on, so I liked the engineering aspect. And I really felt that in France, you could get trained good in mathematics and theoretical aspect, but at the time, they were not really much into, computers and stuff. So I decided to come to the United States. In 1986, I joined Bradley University, just outside Chicago, in Peoria, Illinois. I enrolled in electrical engineering. I was given recently an award of the highest level in my alma mater called the Centurion Society. To now switch from electrical engineering to biomedical research. So Hopkins actually gave me a full scholarship to be part of it. So I enrolled in the master's program. I was actually learning about magnetic resonance imaging, medical imaging, and I was doing little projects in the lab where I was kicked out by Shaco. I messed up the experiment. I had a perfused heart in the magnet, and I was very new to this kind of setup, and it ended up spilling. So that led to the next phase, my PhD. So I ended up going to Leon Axel's lab at the University of Pennsylvania. I really dived right away into the research from year one of my PhD, and I really loved the aspect of tinkering with MRI. I was, with the person that I'm married to right now, and she was basically going and leaving from Philadelphia to go to New York to pursue her MBA. So I came to Mount Sinai. So I met Dr. Fuster when he was lecturing in the Society of Cardiac MR. He really set the stage, he set the vision, he set the style, and understood the importance of setting up a culture and getting people that work as a family. People that you can see eye to eye, that you complement each other. People you also can, they could correct you. I mean, I don't mind being corrected. I'm actually having fun. I mean, I really like the aspect of what I do. I really like working with people and achieving, results and having, impactful stuff, right? We have been focusing in the past on this non-invasive detection of disease as early as possible. And now we are taking an approach that's more and more comprehensive rather than focusing on one area, but really connecting the dots together, imaging kind of a whole systems biology approach to vascular disease and the connection between the anatomical aspect, the functional aspect, and the molecular aspect.
It gives me a real pleasure to present Dr. Zahi Adel Fayad as the Mount Sinai Endowed Professor in Medical Imaging and Bioengineering.
But let me first start with Dr. Fuster, who has been really is the reason why I first came to Mount Sinai, and the reason why I'm here today. He has touched every aspect of my life. He has been and remains my biggest inspiration in all these aspects. I feel so privileged to be affiliated with him and also with his wonderful wife, Maria. And I'll never forget to move on and to keep going. So that your move on is always right on. Dr. Bert Dreyer, is the second reason why I'm here. And I came to Mount Sinai. I can never forget that big smile, meeting the big man. So many colleagues have had influence on me, but they're really two special people. One of them is Ed Fisher, who's in the back here, who was a faculty member at Mount Sinai, who's been my longest collaborator. And the second person is also in the room, Dr. William Mulder, my partner in crime in so many ways. He sees further and deeper than anybody I know, and we can talk about that over a drink. Really, a big thanks goes to my family in Lebanon and in France for the warm upbringing and rich education. And the last thank goes to the biggest joy of my life, my kids, the not so little anymore wolves, les petits loups, as we say in France, Chloe and Christophe. Finally, to the most important person in my life, that happens to provide the strongest support and inspiration and love, my wife, Monique. I count myself very fortunate, and I thank you all for making this day possible. Thank you.